dearest gentle reader, there's nothing more beautiful than a new season with your favorite characters. And here, we're going to be talking with some of our new favorite characters, Carrington and Malia, about the upcoming season of Bridgerton. Get ready for this titillating recap of all of the seasons of Bridgerton. How's that? Okay. That was very good.
Welcome back, pop stars. I'm Rizzo.
I'm Benji.
And we are joined by two new friends.
Hi.
Hey guys, thanks for having us. I'm Carrington.
Carrington.
I'm Aaliyah.
Say your full name, though. We need to hear it.
Carrington Cantarella.
That's an Italian meatball. Now, y'all both are like very big into like Marvel stuff and kind of superheroes. Do you get to cover shows like this very often?
I think it's fun to get to cover stuff like this just because it's nice to do something a little bit different, get our brains working in another direction. And we love our Marvel commenters, but sometimes it's nice to talk to new people.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Benji and I have just rewatched all 30 episodes of Bridgerton on our Patreon and the spinoff in preparation for the actual 4th season coming up. Before we get into this recap, how do we feel about the upcoming season?
I am really excited. After season 3, I think they have a lot that they can come back from.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see where they go with it, and especially with Benedict. I think he's my favorite character.
Yes, me too. It's a good way to look at it too. It's like after season 3 kind of fell short of expectations, it's like hopefully you can only go up from here. Hopefully that was our rock bottom for this, which it wasn't that bad. I'm not like, I don't hate it. I was disappointed by some things, but there's room for improvement.
There's always room for improvement with a Bridgerton.
And definitely from the connect from Colin to Benedict, I think how we were talking and chatting earlier about Colin's storyline with Penelope, how, you know, what that was missing maybe wasn't so reflective of the show as a whole, but maybe was just the core plot line was what we were missing versus in the 4th season, Benedict has so much more opportunity than anybody else has had for a kind of like different storyline. And I hope that they do take the opportunities that they have, and I'll be disappointed if they don't. But I think it'll be really cool.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
No, that's a great way of looking at it, because when we rewatched it, and we'll get there eventually, but when we rewatched it, I did think that there was something lacking in the creative department, which I do feel when you change showrunners, it just inevitably happens. However, I think we pinpointed the issue to being kind of a character issue rather than a creative as a whole issue. Benedict works well with multiple people, and we'll see that across each of these seasons. He just really does blend well. You can kind of throw him with any of the siblings, and he's interesting. Colin, he's cute.
Yeah,
He's there.
he was sweet. He was real sweet.
And he's always
Sometimes
he's in another country.
He's just a sweet little cinnamon roll that sometimes maybe you overestimate how much time you can spend with a character like that.
Yeah. A cinnamon roll always looks like a good idea, and then you start eating it and you're like, this is too sweet, I can't finish it.
8 episodes of just eating cinnamon roll might be a little too much.
You know, it's okay though, because in their dynamic, you know, he is the support for Penelope, because she's
and I do like
one.
them together. I like their
absolutely.
writing. They're both of their background in writing and the way he published his book and her coming out as Lady Whistledown. I really appreciated where they both benefited each other's ambitions in the world and who they wanted to be.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a nice contribute to their relationship, and I enjoyed that.
Well, that's a good place to start. So we're going to take it back all the way to Bridgerton season 1. We're just going to discuss this. We got to do a time limit because, you know, we all could talk.
Yeah.
But we want to recap what we've just watched. Y'all, when was the last time we watched this, and how often do y'all watch this?
Ooh, I mean, it's definitely been since last year, and that's, you know, it's only January, but still, I would say spring of last year was probably, I feel like springtime is when I'm like in the mood for it.
Bridgerton,
There's certain
absolutely.
things where I'm like, this is the season for it, and like winter doesn't feel like the season. Springtime. So last spring.
Absolutely.
And Malia, you said how many times have you watched season 2?
6 times, I think.
Yeah,
that might not be enough. We need to get
I think I need to go back. I need to get it to the point where I have it all memorized.
Exactly. So we're gonna go into it. Let's start with Bridgerton season 1. What do we remember from season 1 of Bridgerton?
The
Thoughts?
Duke.
Yeah.
We missed him, but I understand you left
gorgeous.
because there was some racial issues. I get it. That's fair, but also So handsome. So beautiful.
And this is the thing, too, which was great about Bridgerton. Let's rewind back to 2020. None of us knew what we were getting into. We see what essentially looks like...
I mean, we knew exactly what we were getting
it
into.
was right after, like, Hamilton. So we have, like, the height of, like, Hamilton,
Yeah,
like, really
yeah.
breaking this. And I'm like, more, keep
more,
going, keep
exactly.
going. This is right.
All I remember is I saw an ad for what essentially looked like Regency era Gossip Girl.
Yes.
And it had a mixed cast, which I think is a huge thing in terms of actors want to be able to play different roles and eras without it only coming back to 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was really fucking awesome to just see a show that said, fuck it, we're going to be in Regency era
Giving Brandy
outfits.
Cinderella, like
Yeah.
we love
Exactly.
just mixing everything up. Yeah, I was already invested. Obviously Gossip Girl was a huge one for me, and I love anything period piece. And then I remember like seeing Bridgerton advertised, and I was like, oh, and the main love interest is a black guy. Wait, we're just mixing things up, and I was like, oh, I'm so in for that. That was like one of our first big things we did for our channel.
We loved it.
It got a lot more people's attention rather than just being, where Pride and Prejudice is just such a beautiful piece of art. And I love it so dearly. But like, it's something that so many people won't touch because it's so like chick flick, that kind of stuff, like connotated in that way, where like, I feel like going at Bridgerton from this way opened it up to a much wider audience, which gave it more chance of success that it did have. I appreciated that in the sense of like, it gave it a different life rather than we're just watching the same crap over again. Like, I don't need to watch history on TV. I want to watch good actors act well.
Yes.
And that's it.
And have fun and be hot and play modern day music on like old school instruments. I love that.
I know there's a lot of things in that first season that almost seem kind of quaint in retrospect. It's like,
true. They were just getting started.
They were just like, it's like,
taking it easy.
Yeah, like,
colorblind casting, modern day music kind of thrown into the background. Oh, sex on TV.
Yeah.
And now we look and we're like, that's tame. And they almost leaned away from that for better or worse. I think the later seasons have gotten a little bit more shy when it comes to some of the sexual content, which again, it really doesn't need to be forced in there.
Well, I will say, like, with this one, when the Duke and Daphne finally get together, we have like a whole episode of sex scenes. And then really, like, with season 2, you got a couple because they didn't get together until the very end. So I think it just kind of, their story more lent to backing away from it a little bit more. Almost Colin and Penelope did a similar thing too.
Yeah.
The first season, the plot of it really hinged on their sex though. So that's why I felt like it was a much bigger point. Whereas like it didn't really hinge on it in the next 2 seasons.
No.
And I don't know that it's definitely not going to hinge on it in the 4th season. So it does become kind of this background thing throughout the rest of the show. Whereas the first one, we all got that taste of it. So that was almost what we expected to continue. But like it wasn't what was the core of the plot anymore. The plot went in a different direction. But I'm excited to talk about season 2.
Yeah, I know. And season 2 was very, very good. So it was like they did the hook you in the sex cells kind of thing. Like, isn't this so hot? Like, isn't this so fun? And then they're like, okay, we're going to put that aside a little. You don't need all that. Like, what about all this stuff? You liked that, right? And we're like, we did. We liked it.
Like for the sapphics, the yearning was great too.
Yeah. Oh my
so.
gosh. Yes. I love a good yearning.
So season 1 follows Daphne and Simon. Daphne is kind of unofficially crowned the diamond of the season. She's the one that everyone's looking towards. What is the reason why she wants to make a deal with Simon? Because her brother, the Viscount, will not let her be with anybody? Is that the reason?
He chased off all her prospects because she had everybody was like interested in her. And then Anthony just kept being like, no, this person's not right. That person's not right, to the point that nobody was coming up to her. And then also the Featherington's cousin, Marina, came in and she was beautiful. So all the guys were like, oh, well, this guy's not letting us date her.
So Daphne has no one.
Marina, she has no one. And then so
she wants to be desirable. Was that it?
Yeah.
And then Simon wants to be avoided. How do we feel about the romance between Simon and Daphne, including all of the issues that Simon has to get over internally?
I think as like a first season opening with that romance, I really liked it between them. But in like comparison to season 2, come on. But season 1 was really nice. I really like how they're coming into that relationship. She knows nothing about sex or anything. He's like basically having to tell her everything because even her mom's not telling her, and that kind of sucks.
Which is wild.
Ooh,
really terrifying.
I don't know if you've rewatched it. As much as I love Violet Bridgerton, by the 4th season of watching her in something,
Girl.
I was like, you need to tell people things.
Help someone.
And stop getting so into your kids' love lives. She's like, if you don't have a love like me and my husband, it's
not real.
It's not real. I'm like, oh my God.
But then she also won't tell them about sex or anything that they actually need to know. The girls and the guys, she's just like, do do what you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's already out there learning everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, of course she knows. I mean, she has like, how many kids does she have?
8
through.
kids.
Yeah.
One for every letter in the alphabet.
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting. I think Simon's whole story and then how she helps him and like how they help each other. I think that's really nice, especially in the conclusion of the season. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think both the strengths and kind of the weaknesses of the first season. Weakness, I'll start there. It's almost once you've watched the entire show and you kind of see all the places that it can go in terms of kind of tropes, like love tropes. I think once you rewind it back to, what is it? It's not the enemies to lovers. It's the kind of the fake romance.
Fake relationship.
I think that stretched over 8 episodes with, he's nuanced to a degree, but there is a lot of miscommunication that is hard to watch in like the later episodes.
Because it's like so clearly like, I don't know how you're miscommunicating this.
Yeah.
Like,
it was definitely a flash in the pan of the first time you're watching it. I think there's a lot of new things, a lot of new tricks that kind of get you invested into the world. And then when you look back on it, it is still strong, but it is one of those things that comparatively to season 2 and Queen Charlotte, where every single episode that they're not together, you kind of really believe it and you buy into it and you understand how different these two people are. Whereas with Daphne and Simon, you're like, you guys are almost too different. You need therapists.
Yeah.
You're clearly into each other.
Yeah.
Like there, I will say, was fantastic heat between them. And that's what carried all of it.
Burning, will they, won't they?
They were
oh my God.
burning. And it's like, obviously they will. Like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, you
but
have
like,
to.
yeah, the level of...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's unmatched.
They're like, I thought you didn't like me. What it's like,
their hands are brushing next to each other, and I'm like, just guys,
just do it.
Season 1 is exceptional, and I think it's unmatched in terms of just sexy sexual tension. There is amazing things about season 2, 3, and season 2, Charlotte, and even 3.
Season 2's got some really steamy
It
tension
does.
now, yeah.
But in terms of just full blown, these two want to fuck.
Yeah.
That's season 1.
They were going at it like rabbits,
Oh,
like
yeah.
every room
Every
in the
si-
house.
yes, I know.
Like they were happy, they loved each other, and it was so hard watching him lie to her and watching her be so innocent,
Completely
and just
naive.
watching how that innocence and just I think a reflection of the show as a whole, like watching it from a woman's perspective, like the innocence and how terrifying that can be, and even in like real life when there are ways where women are still too innocent in a sense, and like knowing enough to be able to protect yourself with something so crazy. And like Cressida Cow, like I think she's something that I'm really interested, especially for season 4, on how they continue her as like a background storyline. And I do hope that maybe eventually she gets a season once we get through all the Bridgerton kids. Like right now we're just going down the line here, but
By season 9,
we'll see.
we'll get Cressida.
Yeah.
I'm glad you say that. I think this is like the only point that I'll really bring it up, but there is a nuance to the conversation of Bridgerton that I don't think a lot of people are really willing to have, and it's kind of hard to have if you're doing hot takes on Twitter or threads, but we get more in depth in this on our Patreon. There's a very specific episode, the kind of the turn episode, when Daphne discovers the reality of the fact that Simon, who has said he can't have children, really means he won't have children. There's a lot of nuance. And as a trigger warning, if you're going into that episode and you've had any experiences in that area, both as a man or a woman, you need to know that going in. It is a very triggering episode. And I think from a writing 20th century perspective, there's a validity to experiencing that episode and going, I don't like that.
Yeah.
From a character perspective and from a in-universe perspective, it's one of those things where part of me is like, she knew nothing. They actively go after that. Simon, he tries to in the moment go, I thought you knew. Dude,
No.
2 episodes ago, you were teaching her how to, touch herself.
Yeah.
So let's not pretend that you knew you were actually...
She knew the intricacies, especially when you're over here pulling out, and when you finish, she's like, what's that? Is that painful? Like, she clearly doesn't know, dude.
anything.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
So it's one of those things where I go in with the nuance of each of these seasons. Like, I don't find myself pitting or even getting angry with any of the characters. We said this on our Patreon. Marina and her whole plot to entrap Colin Bridgerton, I understand why Penelope, both through jealousy and just as a friend, outs her to Colin, but also at the same time, can't say I don't blame Marina for doing what she's going to do.
I mean, she was terrified.
Yeah.
The reality that these women have to face, like that you're pushed up against this. You need safety. Even what Penelope says, she's like, I just want somebody to take care of me. I want to be free in this world.
They're not model victims. There's a lot of areas in which maybe by today's standards, we would do things differently.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about characters in a world where these women are essentially just denied knowledge or agency, can't really blame them for some of the decisions that they make.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that says
That's just an unhinged.
That's
take.
just
an opinion.
That's a hot take.
Just one person's opinion.
We talked about that for 10 minutes. Is there anything else we want to wrap up that first season?
Oh
Were there
God, wrap it up already. No, there's so much to unpack.
What are your favorite moments from the first season?
I love when he tells his dad, "Speak, you fucking monster." That's fantastic.
Yeah.
When he comes
Yeah.
back and is like, "I'm never gonna siren air." I wish that he had just said that to stick it to his dad and then was like, "I'll have a kid. I don't care."
Yeah, he's in the grave. He doesn't know.
I'll raise him better.
Yeah, like I'll make him better than you, or just be like, "I'll have a kid, but I'm not taking the name Hastings. Like I'm gonna continue the Bridgerton line or something like that."
Exactly.
Because we
Whoa.
are we're making up a world. Like it's like he doesn't have to take his father's name. Like we can do whatever we want.
Favorite moments from that first season, favorite characters.
Definitely when Simon in front of Queen Charlotte was like, "This is how I feel." Like you laid it all out. I think that like really sat with me, especially knowing how he even told her how he felt, and it was like, you don't even know how you feel, and you have just exposed yourself to everyone. So I appreciated that moment where you're like, you know, something's there, and you just have to work through it.
Yeah, I really liked because I'm a big Hamilton fan, so I loved the duel.
Yeah.
Where
Oh,
how she comes in and she
Sneaks
Colin?
up on them,
Almost
by the
got
way.
Yeah.
I thought she got shot the first time.
it
I was
looked
like,
like it.
oh,
Holy crap!
Yeah,
I thought she was the main
gone.
character.
No, but I really liked that scene, and
Yeah.
I really liked
was
how
good.
it shows before season 2 how much Anthony loves his family and
Yes.
really wants to
Yeah.
protect
Yeah.
their image and that line because he feels like he needs to do that.
Yeah. A few stray things from me. I think Jonathan Bailey, who I didn't know about at all. Did anyone go into this show knowing who he was beforehand?
I didn't know that I had seen him in something else, but I had seen him in Chewing Gum before that.
I didn't know who he was. Obviously, he's now the sexiest man alive.
He is the sexiest man
First
alive.
openly
Yes,
gay
he
man
is.
who's the sexiest man alive. He's become such almost like a beacon. He's both given to big shows and smaller shows. Like he shows up in Heartstopper season 3. I like that in this first season, and I noticed this is a trend with like big actors. Once they get big, they almost have to kind of model who they are in real life in their show.
Yeah.
And I like that he is allowed to just be an asshole. Like if you rewatch that first season, he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
He
he
really
is.
is.
A
With
legitimate-
the sideburns and everything.
Oh, they were bad.
Yeah.
They were
I
so
like the
bad.
sideburns because it makes me like buy into that world. But I like
does.
he also is he is unreasonable.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Without a
appreciate
doubt.
the fact that even between that and into the second season, when we're already starting to get a hint of like, oh, this guy could become something bigger. This is just what happens. But I appreciate the fact that I can look back on that time capsule and see him playing a character that really is
Pretty
Yeah.
damn unlikable.
pretty damn unlikable,
Yeah.
and you still
Very
like him
annoying.
because he's
Yeah.
charismatic.
Yeah.
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 But you kind of get it a little more in season 3, and I don't blame them. But he's like, oh, now he's Jonathan Bailey. He's like not America's sweetheart, but we like him.
He's cool.
And it's I don't
cool.
I don't think they would have risked making him as much of an asshole
Yeah.
if he was as famous then as he is now.
That is
Yeah.
a really good point.
Yeah.
So it's fun to kind of go back and be like, oh, you just were the character, and it makes Daphne's story that much more engaging.
Yeah.
because he is a real foil to her.
Yeah.
So that's just something kind of in retrospect I appreciate. Obviously, Lady Danbury.
I was gonna say, I was like, we can't.
She's so great.
The icon, the legend.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we love her.
She makes every season and everything that she does.
makes every season the best season there is.
She makes a meal out of every scene that she's in. I think season 1 and season 2 are the most useful we had of her, at least by an episode by episode basis. I think obviously Queen Charlotte has a lot of depth with her in the future. Hopefully we're pronouncing right. Adjoa Ando, she makes a meal of every scene she's in, and obviously Queen Charlotte gets a lot from her in the past sense. But I think season 1 is like every single episode, she is directly involved with the plot because of Simon.
She really pushes the plot in every season.
And she gets a lot of that in season 2, as we'll start to talk about. And they've thankfully found a way to keep you involved in
The
every
future
subsequent
plots,
season. But definitely I'm like, this is the most involved you were in terms of
direct relation.
he's
to the
basically
plot.
your son.
Yeah.
Like you raised him. And so that you have like a personal stake in this in a way that I don't think the later seasons, at least with that actress, are able to get across. Although again, she's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
anything else from season 1?
No, but I do like that we're talking about Anthony's character, and I think that that's a good transition into season 2.
Season 2 of Bridgerton.
I will say what I like that I don't necessarily feel was strong in season 2 to 3 is that season 1 to season 2 of our lead character Anthony was a fantastic transition, as far as our background of him in season 1 was all leading up to the turn where he goes, I'm not looking for love anymore. And then we go, boom, season 2, I'm not looking for love, but I'm looking for a wife. And he immediately starts in at the exact same place where we left him.
Yes.
That was built up to, we know exactly why he's there. And he's like, I have a list. I'm picking Lady Bridgerton. So I'm picking for these qualities. Love is off the table. And that immediately sets us up for the conflict of the entire season.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not looking for love. I'm looking for the right person.
This is my favorite season. Burying the lead. I love the second season. What I do love is also, you're right, we don't retread any territory with Anthony. They used him very well in the first season. Just be like, oh, you want sex? Anytime he's on screen, sex is happening.
Yeah.
So we don't retread territory. We start off in a good place. I think it's a great almost sequel in the sense of, oh, these are characters we know and love, but we're seeing new sides to them.
Yeah.
And he works even before you know his backstory. And once you find out his backstory, you're like, oh.
That shift where he is still that asshole at the beginning, but then you start to see he starts chipping away when, I forget her.
Edwina.
Edwina.
Oh, poor
Edwina.
Edwina. Pour one out for Edwina.
Oh, sweet girl.
It's okay. She's got love off screen.
Yeah.
We've heard.
But man, I loved seeing that scene where Kate overhears him kind of being like, I'm not doing it for love, even if it's with Edwina. And she's just like, hey, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that was a really interesting start to their relationship and to that season, because they didn't immediately shift him into a different kind of
Character.
softer.
Exactly.
No, he's an asshole.
He's an
the
asshole.
whole time.
It's
And really,
perfect.
even pursuing Edwina, he is very matter of fact with her, because it's like, no, I'm literally here like checking off my list. You check off my list, let's get married. But he is being softer with her because it's like, well, I have to if I'm going to attract a wife, but also I'm very pragmatic.
I think what's fascinating is he's not lying. And even in a way, he doesn't lie to her. He does, like you said, directly kind of say that to her.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting from a character point is Edwina is very new and naive, and she's also trying to please her sister. And as she later reveals in the season, like, I've always been living my life for everyone else. So you get the sense that she thinks she understands the depth of what he's telling her.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
No.
How could you? And he thinks he understands that he's giving her the depth of like why he's making the decision. So they're just interesting characters because they're not even, it doesn't rely on the trope of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
At least in a kind of a bad writing way. It lies on in a more like an actual human way.
Where it's
You
like
just
we
tell
both-
two
yeah.
people's brains work differently, and
Yes.
no matter how much you try to understand one another, puzzle pieces sometimes just don't fit together.
Yeah.
No matter how
Exactly.
much you do to it, it just doesn't fit. And you could tell from the beginning that it was like on paper, yes, but like you just don't fit every time you're on screen. It was so clear.
And when you have such a lightning bolt character like Kate, who is just Anthony, like
Yes.
she is just the
Literally.
reverse.
Yes.
She's just as snarly and snarky and pragmatic as he is. And she wants to get to the point, and she is a phenomenal foil. I think season 2, it is the most holy shit you've met your match.
Yeah,
Any of
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
That's even saying something because I love Queen Charlotte. Young Queen Charlotte, she's just a force to be reckoned with. But Kate, when you meet her, I am rooting for her so instantly. I think I also do. Do we have siblings? Are you
Yeah. Oldest of 3.
oldest of 3? Do you have
Yeah.
siblings?
Second oldest of 6.
I'm oldest.
Middle.
Little
Yeah.
middle child.
Get left out a lot.
I always lean towards media that deals with kind of sibling relationships.
I love it.
And while I feel like season 1 was practically, I get it, there was sibling dynamics. We forgot to mention this, but Benedict and Eloise together.
I love them.
Perfect.
What a
They're
beautiful
so
pairing.
cute.
They're so cute together.
I'm dying for more of them. Her and her Joan of Arc dress.
Right?
I'm
Yes.
eating it up. I'm so excited for her character arc.
Yes.
On a side tangent.
I think in the first season, they're the two that feel the most like genuine siblings.
Yes.
And obviously with Benedict kind of stepping into Daphne, like I understand kind of his leadership role.
Anthony.
I buy into it. What'd I say?
You said Benedict, but Anthony.
Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony leadership role. I'm not saying I don't buy into it, but I buy into it in a more of you're looking down on her. She's your sister, but
Well, she's more of his responsibility because
Yes.
he's stepped up
Yeah.
as kind of the man of the house, but also even with that much of an age gap, because he's A and she's D, so that's the 4th kid. And like he's the oldest, so they wouldn't super be close. She's a girl in that time period, in that world where they wouldn't really be interacting anyways. They didn't probably super grow up together because my little brother is 7.5 years younger than me. So it's like there are times when it's like we're siblings, but there are also times when I'm like I feel like his unofficial parent.
Right.
Like and it's just kind of like so when you have that age gap, it almost is less of like this sibling dynamic and more of like
parental.
It was an unattended dad, like the dad that just does what he has to do, checks the boxes, pay the bills, but wasn't there to be a dad because she unfortunately didn't, despite how wonderful her real father was and how much her mother loved him. But he did have to step in as like the dad role of the family in the responsibility sense in society, but not as a figure within the household to the other girls.
Yeah.
But then you get to season 2, and I feel like Kate and Edwina's relationship, they feel so much more familial in a way that I think Anthony,
they had a more like
Daphne didn't necessarily, and didn't have to, but they didn't like have that same energy. Whereas you get into season 2, and I'm like, I connect with them as a brother, as an older sibling, more so than I did Anthony and Daphne.
It is interesting, because it's like they have kind of that mentor mentee.
But there's not a bunch of kids in between.
Yeah, but it is like they have that close relationship. They're the only two that they have. They're sisters, which I feel like women connect better in general. It's interesting because there's multiple dynamics where they all work for their own reason. Like, because even obviously there's a big gap between Eloise and Benedict, but they just both like, I think
they're on the same level.
Yeah, Eloise like wants to get out, and Benedict is kind of like, I mean, like, I just don't want any responsibilities. So they both kind of are like,
be an artist.
Yeah,
like,
we're both in this place where we don't want to be where we are, and they can really connect on that level. And then Benedict is like, I'm the second, like I don't have to have any responsibility.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't have that kind of older sibling, like I got to take care of you role. They can both just be like, let's leave. Like, I want to go. Like, I don't want to do this.
So I think there's such a big thing nowadays when it comes to people and the art that they consume and it having to match the morals. But I like that in these first 2 seasons, you have not perfect characters. Yeah. And so when you're watching Anthony and Kate fall in love, ooh, it's a mess.
Yeah. Oh, it's so like, oh, it's hot. And I want you guys together, but Edwina, that poor sweet girl does not deserve this. And it's like, and I know neither of them are trying to do anything.
Which makes it so much better.
Like, I understand we're all just trying to do the best thing here. And it's sad because they have such good chemistry, Kate and Anthony. But also when you look at him and Edwina, it's like, y'all are cute too. Like, if there wasn't this
if
there wasn't
love,
Kate,
if you weren't here, it would be fine. We'd all be able to go to bed at night and it'd be okay.
It'd be okay. Like,
and then like that scene where he's not in bed at night and they both meet in the library.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, I burn for you. Like, burn for you. What does he say? Like, I need you to move back.
Yeah, because it's like,
it's the one girl that's in every corner of this earth. You know that one girl that has her whole I can't wait to watch that again.
There is not somewhere you could go that would be far enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like, they are trying to fight it and they can't. And I think with their chemistry off screen too, like, it just sells it so much more.
Yeah.
Because it is good. Like, Edwina and him, safe.
Yeah, exactly.
But Kate, right when she comes on screen, I'm like,
there it is.
She commands, Simone Ashley commands the screen in a way that I think even back when I was watching Sex Ed, you notice her. Also, you're right. Like, Edwina feels so safe and you feel like she absolutely loves her. And just watching the dynamics, it's the only season in which when the two characters have to push away from each other, I fully buy it. And while it is annoying just because you're like, get to the kissing, it's not the same with like Simon and Daphne. We're just like, guys, communicate and get over it.
Yeah.
Or later with Penelope and Colin, where you're like, Colin, get the fuck over it.
Get your shit together.
In this case, the last 3 episodes after he leaves her at the altar, which, by the way, if we had a nickel for every time Jonathan Bailey left a cute woman at the altar
for another
Tragedy.
woman,
you'd have 2 nickels. And that is a lot. But when he leaves Edwina at the altar, and then the next 3 episodes,
well, she technically left him at the altar, but still,
things happen.
He looked
Edwina,
at someone else real now.
Yes.
The bangle, like, oh man,
and
I'd be so mad. Yeah.
When she sees it, she's she clocks it immediately.
You feel it in the air. You can smell it.
It was hard. Like, I was like, oh no, this is the worst place for this to happen.
The full temperature of the room
changed.
And if you watch it too, I think on a rewatch, it's so interesting because you can tell that she's clocking it here and there. But again, he was honest with her. He was honest. Trying. In more or less words, he said, this is a pragmatic relationship. She was like, bet, okay, we're going to...
I can do that.
Well, we can do that. And it's like, you can see she's kind of clocking things here and there, especially at the game, which I love that sequence when they're playing badminton or whatever.
Is it the horse race?
Croquet.
Oh, yeah, croquet.
You can tell that she understands, like, I don't necessarily fit.
Yeah.
It's okay. And it's like, it's just, once you reach that wedding part, she can't overlook it any longer.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is like the next 3 episodes, you want them to get together, but it's the only season that I think you're like, I'm okay that you don't immediately get together.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like when you leave it that bad, like it's a failed wedding in front of the entire town, I'm kind of like, guys, maybe give it a couple episodes. You can't
Let it breathe.
let it breathe.
Sometimes
Give it
the
a second.
wine needs to breathe after you uncorked it.
To camp that shit.
Go on your stroll. It's okay.
Yeah.
Before we move on to Queen Charlotte, what else do we feel about season 2?
I was really, really happy in the end when they hinted that Edwina might end up with the prince. And then in season 3, we find out that she didn't. But I hoped she would. I was like, that's good. I loved Freddie Stroma as the prince. Look, the Duke is hot as hell, but if you offer me a prince who is buying me diamond necklaces on our second date, it is what it is. Somebody who's emotionally available and wants to marry me, sold. But then not sold because we don't do that anymore.
And we've always said
But I'm in.
Season 2, what are some stray thoughts before we move into Queen Charlotte? How do we feel about it?
Between Anthony and Kate, it was kind of just like they were the same, just like from the same position in 2 different families. But I thought it was interesting how Anthony doesn't take that like parental role on the same way Kate does and gets really close to Edwina. But like she does have a different standing in society as a woman versus Anthony has different expectations that he has. So it's almost the same exact situation, but then you get to see the comparison of how different roles in society had to take on the exact same situation and how you were able to help that.
Yeah.
So like he couldn't come at it from like an emotional, like, let me take like check on you standpoint, whereas she had to, because like that's where she was. And she couldn't do the things that Anthony could do and set her sister up in that kind of way.
Right.
She could only help her from a closer relationship because she didn't have that standing in society to make those moves.
They feel like such an island that you're rooting for them.
Yeah.
And they're entering, like you said, this society, and they're having to do things way differently than the Bridgertons ever have to. And in the second season, this is when I'm starting to kind of be like, all right, Bridgertons, you guys are a little bit on your own little rock. I get it. It's cute.
Are, and they get called out a few times because they're always like, oh, but I have to find love. And she's like, but what about love? And everybody's like, not everyone's a Bridgerton. Like, not all of us can just shop around for love. Like, some of us have to marry to survive. Like,
oh my
so
gosh.
funny.
Yeah.
But the backstory is so tragic. The fact that Anthony is withholding love because he has watched his mom go through something as horrifically tragic as that, and he watched her fully shut down. It makes sense. Like, it's one of those things where I went, ooh, I don't agree with you, but I understand you.
Yeah.
And that is wild. And it colors everything. Like, everything that Violet says about like why she's withdrawn in later seasons and has a hard time even wanting to open up or let her flowers bloom. I think that's the terminology.
Let her garden bloom.
The garden bloom.
The garden,
It's like, it makes so much sense. And she, in her own way, is a complicated character because she's not perfect. She withholds information. She is kind of like tunneled vision.
And she fully shut down on her family when the husband died. Like, that was something that I was like, she obviously presents when you watch season 1 as this very attentive mom who's like watching all of her kids and trying to guide them and steward them in an individual way for each person. And she shows up and she's loving. And it's like, that's new. Like, she fully was gone for years.
You almost feel like she's playing catch up.
Yeah, that's probably what
like
it is.
She's trying to get over involved, but then like also, again, leaving out things.
Exactly. And still like not doing it the right way because she hasn't been there. So
okay, other things we forgot to talk about, but obviously this is the season that we found out Penelope is Bridgerton. We fully passed that in season 1.
That's a key point, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
It's a key point in the show, but it becomes a key point in this season. I absolutely am on Penelope's side.
Yeah.
Like in her argument and discussion with Eloise.
And I'm on Eloise's side because I think if your best friend is talking shit about the time, then they should let me in on that, you know?
Jesus.
If you had a secret gossip blog, I would want to know that it was you.
And you're making hella money from it? Like, I want to know.
Come on. Like, you know, I'd be upset.
The Featherington backstory, I think I really loved in the second season. I think it was the perfect balance.
Those poor Featheringtons. They are always fighting for their life in every season.
But Portia is such a... She might
She's a
be
force.
my favorite character.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Underneath.
Yeah.
Lady Danbury in terms of all around. I love Lady Danbury. Queen Charlotte in terms of like gumption and attitude. But in terms of character engagement, I think Portia is number one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated to see what she's gonna fucking do.
Yeah, she comes off like villainous in the first season because she's kind of against Marina. But like in season 2, you start to see like she's really just trying to keep her head above water. She's trying to help her girls. Like, I mean, you see it in season 1 also. But it's like season 2 and especially 3 is kind of where you're just like, damn, girl, like I feel for you. You cannot catch a break.
No.
How easy it is to slip out of society. Like they're constantly on the edge of society.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like not even their fault because like she has 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And like I've talked to my mom about this because I come from a family of all daughters.
Uh-huh.
And she's like,
wow.
if we were back there, we would never, like, you'd have to marry. You'd have to marry really well. And that's if we're up in this society.
Yeah.
In
So-
a position to marry well.
Having your Sir, whatever his name is, the Featherington guy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Like go into debt and now you have no money to give the dowries. Like your daughters are screwed.
You literally cannot marry them off.
When
Yeah.
he breaks down in front of her in season 1 and she's like, oh. She's taking
my
it
God.
like, oh shit. I love the idea that she's like, she always knew up here she was in charge, but that's the first time she's like,
you're
Alright.
actually worthless.
oh
Like,
shit. Okay. And you've really just fucked us. That's insane.
Yeah.
Also, again, it leads into the atmosphere and environment that would create a character like Penelope.
Yeah.
And for her to do what she did. Did any of us know it was her or did we all get blindsided by that last episode?
Yeah, I feel like I was pretty blindsided. I didn't get it.
I think I did know. I think me and my friend
Nice.
were like, we hate this girl so much. She's going to be it. And I was like,
Really? You
Yeah.
hated Penelope?
the first season.
Whoa.
I'm going to be honest. Okay, I completely understand where she's coming from.
Hot take alert.
Wow.
Sorry. But I didn't like her. I don't know why. Maybe it's the redhead. I don't know. But like, I hate you. But yeah, I think she's a really complex character. And going into season 3, I was like, I have to give her a chance.
Yeah.
So I guess.
So season 3, you just barely were like, I guess you get a chance.
Well, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love a grinding character. I
Yeah.
love a character that no matter what you throw at them, they're going to find a way to be like, how do we work this? How do we make it happen? And then they like do it. And I'm like, good for you, because I would have been screwed. I don't know
Yeah.
what to tell you.
I clammed up. I'd be like,
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Daughters
I
are
guess we're
gone.
homeless now. Sorry.
Well, there's an argument for almost everybody, like depending on, because like your world perspective, what you've been through in real life will always shape how you view media.
Yep.
So if you've been through certain things that make you relate to a certain character more, you're going to take their side versus hating somebody else. And then somebody else is going to take that other side. And then you're not going to necessarily see eye to eye, but then understanding your different perspectives really helps that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's an argument to be made for every single side, and that's always going to be colored by your real life experiences. But at the end of the day, there's a reason. And
Yep.
the same thing with human nature in real life. There's always a reason.
Yeah.
And people always treat you more about how they feel about themselves versus how they feel about you.
Yeah.
And this is a good reminder of that too.
I think it's also hard for audiences because, especially depending on where you come from, none of us read the books going into this show.
Yeah.
So we're taking this at face value from square one, blank paid, blank state, blank space, baby, and I'll write your name.
Yes.
Whereas for a lot of people going in, especially if you're like a history nut or if you are becoming a nut about this world's specific history, it is a little murky because they kind of hand wave away racism, which yay, but also it makes it harder to kind of acknowledge that it's like you might be going in with biases against these characters. That's like, look, they haven't solved sexism. Like they might have solved racism, but these characters are up against walls that even though it's easy to kind of overlook, it's still there for them.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting microcosm of this fantasy world, but it's got a lot of reality to it. And watching how each character kind of interacts in that world, the first and the second season do an extremely good job of balancing that where, yes, there are so many characters pitted against each other, but you get why.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts from season 2? Because we got to move on to...
Yeah, no, we got to hit season 3 unless we...
But we were always going to talk about this one. This was yours favorite for sure.
Season 2.
Season 2?
Yeah.
Where is this fall on the scale for you?
Season 2 is definitely my favorite.
Season 2, my favorite.
I think I got to go with my favorite also.
Wait, oh, really?
Yeah. Mhm.
So we were always going to love this
Yeah,
season.
I think that's how
so
we
good.
ranked it when we rewatched it.
I will say the season coming up gives it a little bit of a run for its money. So let's move on to Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story.
Just like you get pepperings of her story, and that he's just this figment figure behind closed doors that you're like, even in the first season, I was like, am I not paying attention enough, or is this man dead? Like, where is he? Like, what's going on here? And then you just keep asking these questions, and you keep getting like little nuggets of information peppered through, and then you finally get to the core of what's going on, and just the conversations of them in the garden. And as somebody who has watched family members go through dementia, is terrified of experiencing dementia, and I already have like issues with like disassociation and just like having gaps in memory and stuff like that. So just like knowing that somebody could love you enough to still take care of you through that, and just their conversation in the garden where she's like, I will be, it was the
your
moon,
Venus.
right? Yeah, the Venus. I will be your Venus.
Yeah.
And,
Venus is going inside.
It's just like that just like sat with me for so long, and like that was just a love story that I think still sits with me as just like I just hope that if something were to happen to me and I went clinically insane, that like there would be somebody taking care of me every day.
Well, I think that's what we all want. We want to feel like no matter what we are able or capable of doing, disabled, able-bodied, whatever, we want to feel like we're still valuable to this world.
Yes, still worthy of love.
Exactly.
Queen Charlotte is such a phenomenal exercise in watching characters re-examine their expectations of what they were going into, what they were thinking something was going to be, learning and changing in the moment. I think more so than any of the seasons, this is the one season you watch characters like actively changing and being aware of that change. I think like obviously you have Anthony and Kate, and they kind of change and for good. For good. They kind of soften up, and they learn that they love each other. But I don't
it's
think
less of like an active, like we're making a choice to change, and more of like a okay, let's give in to love.
It happens, and it's so natural. And then this season, it's more about these two characters that have to actively admit to themselves, this is what we wanted for our lives. We didn't get it. This is the hand we were dealt, and we have to acknowledge whether or not this is what we want to do and go forth for. So watching Queen Charlotte go from like, I don't want to do this, to wait, I actually like this guy, to wait, this guy sucks, to oh my god, he's broken, to no, you're not actually broken, to we can fix you, to I can't fix you, and I need to be okay with that. Whoa, that was
a ride. And then him going through his cycle of conceal, don't feel, and then
don't show, don't let it show.
Exactly. And just going through his ride of okay, like I just kind of am going to avoid responsibility altogether. Oh, there's certain things I can't avoid. I'll marry this girl, but I'll leave her alone. Oh, that's not what she wants. That's not what I want. And kind of finding that rhythm of like all of that, and then taking control over past like his mom, where his mom was kind of running things, and then being like, okay, it's my turn. Me and her are gonna run this now. Like you can step back.
I am a sucker for, I don't even know what the trope is. I'm a sucker for whatever that first scene you find out that King George doesn't remember her. That destroyed me. And it hit me like a fucking freight train. Watching all of her guards, all of her shields, you only see Queen Charlotte as being this like boss ass bitch. Like she's the woman, the top dog. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't question. She's very much on her game. And then to watch all of that crumble right in front of you in an instant. I was like, it was such a tonal whiplash that it got me. And from that moment on, I was like, I need to know more about them.
To me, it's like who's running this kind of thing. So to have this woman, to come into season 1 in this society, and there's this just woman who is the queen, and she's like, you're the diamond. First of all, I know you're the queen, but who gave you the authority? And so why are you also like sticking your nose in this business? Why does the queen, who has more important things to do for her country, care about who you're marrying? Why are you so like in the gossip? Why do you care so much? So to me, it was always like somebody who is miserable inside finds ways to fulfill that misery outside. So that's why I was like, where is he? Did he die? What happened to him? It was like you're miserable at home, you're in an unhappy marriage, so like one of the nightmare situations that these women ended up in. So I was always watching season 1 and season 2 thinking, which person is a reflection of Charlotte's actual marriage? So I was like, what's actually happening behind closed doors? Why is this woman, who is supposed to be the queen with more important responsibilities, so into this kind of stuff? Why are you picking a diamond? What's the point of a diamond? And then you finally get to her and you're like, that's not what was happening. You actually had this like fulfilling, by the time you get to the end, it was fulfilling in its own way, but fulfillment doesn't always look the same to everybody else.
You're getting me want to rewatch this show. God damn it. We're pausing it. We're watching it right now. No, that is, she is such a intricate character.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that was there even before we had gotten into her backstory, which made this prequel, which they did a really interesting thing. I think I am not a fan of going back and forth between timelines. Like if it's a prequel show, focus on that. If it's a present day show, focus on that. So Charlotte was fascinating because it actually engaged me every time it would fade in and out. I found myself equally as interested in the present day stuff as I was in the past, which is kind of rare for me in a show. Because a lot of times when shows do the past and the present, they're trying to hide something from you. And I don't think I don't think Queen Charlotte did that. They had two fascinating stories happen that complement each other. Plus, any more that we get with Lady Danbury is like
with adult Queen Charlotte. And their casting in this was amazing.
Phenomenal.
So good.
Some of the best prequel casting I've seen to date.
Yeah. Literally the first lines that you see from young Queen Charlotte, you're like, oh yeah, that's Queen Charlotte.
Done.
Right
as soon as it opens up, you're like, I know exactly who this is.
There she is, right there. And then Danbury, there were times that she would talk and I would forget that I'm not watching Danbury. I'd feel like, right, this is like the younger version, but this is like technically a different actress. Like this is a different person. But I was like, God, I would really love another season of this.
You know, it says a Bridgerton story. Go on with Lady Danbury. Go on even with Violet.
We're already invested in watching all of these people, all of their children fall in love. And every love story that the children are having is being compared to her love story. She's like, I want you to have a great love story like me. And then it's like, hold on, Mom. Wait, what was your love story?
Yeah, we need to know that.
Give it. I want your journal.
How I Met Your Mother.
Give us the Lion King 1.5 version of Bridgerton. It's interesting to watch how, as a flawed character and as a queen, so many things fall by the wayside because her singular focus will not budge unless another character kind of pulls her out of it. Says, no. Like, you need to understand this.
She's got that hyper focus, and it plays into how she watches the Ton and is in the details of, like, she's like, I want to know what's going on even more than I want to be responsible for, like, all these kids or, like, the politics of the state. It's like, no. What makes you tick? Why do you guys want to date each other? Okay, interesting.
And I'd be interested in what y'all think about this, like, from an ableism kind of conversation. I think it is really refreshing, the journey that she goes on between understanding him but still thinking she can fix him, to then realizing that you need to accept him. And what's interesting is, like, she is so fiercely loyal, which makes her, again, a fascinating character because she has so many flaws and deficiencies in other areas. But when she locks into somebody, she locks in. It gave her character in the previous season so much more depth that I think you're right, was there.
It was always peppered in there, and her loyalty was like always my favorite thing about her. And as somebody who is like very strongly Scorpio in every way, loyalty is just a thing to me. And so I function from a place of, I have my loyalties in this world and there's like an order. And so it's like the order in every decision I make in life is to protect these loyalties. And so to see that that's exactly how she was functioning all this time. And so you're like, this is why you were doing that. This is why you were so involved. This is why you care about this kind of stuff. And you see what her loyalty was. That was such a big deal to me. And to see somebody so strongly loyal, and there is a lot of loyalty throughout the other characters and the other relationships, but this one was just unmatched.
No, I don't think any character comes as close to Queen Charlotte when she's protecting King George.
It's like you said, where it was like she had this great love story, so she's here and trying to like implement that with like the people around her and like almost relive that or something and kind of give that love and beauty to other people. And that's her priority. Her number one thing has always been that love and that relationship and loyalty.
She's the only person, I mean, forgive me because it's been since last spring since I've watched it, but in my memory, she's kind of the only person that's really pushing for that choice, really pushing for, you don't want to be here, I get it. Every parent is pushing for, follow society. This is what we need to do. This is what is expected of us. This is what we have to do to survive. Whereas the queen, who is technically the one enacting this society, forcing this to be the way of life, she's even the one that's like almost undermining her own society from the lead of it, where the patrons of the society are the ones perpetuating it. So I thought that was very interesting, that she was the one that was on the side of love, that was gonna climb the fence, run away, where we see so many characters want to do that, and the parents are like, you gotta stay, you have responsibilities.
Also, Lady Danbury had sex with Violet's mom.
Dad.
That would be a show.
Maybe her mom too. We'll find out.
No, her mom was racist.
Yeah, she was.
Anything else before we end Queen Charlotte?
That final scene of her seeing him under the bed,
Under the
and then
bed.
crawling under.
Under the bed.
No.
And him saying, "You didn't climb the gate."
Fucking
there it is.
shit.
God damn it. God.
That gets me.
When it flashes back to like them being young,
Yeah.
that's when I start crying.
Yeah.
I was
this
like,
guy's
I'm gonna
crying
cry.
right now.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
That end, unlike Bridgerton season 1 where I was surprised, I knew watching this season, I'm like, okay, we're getting into it. See,
They're gonna come for you.
At some point, I had to just put in my bios because I kept getting ripped on for crying, and I was like, "Did you guys forget that this was how I got a following?"
Oh, that's right.
This is literally
Exactly.
how I got a following. So now all my bios are like professional crier.
No, that gets me every
Yeah.
time. And I don't know what it is. It's a vulnerability. It's an acceptance. It's an appreciation of what you have while also understanding like this was a difficult journey to get here.
Yeah.
And it's still difficult. And just to know, like, even in the difficulty, we can still have these moments where we really appreciate who we are and where we are.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
I think it does sensationalize a few aspects about dealing with people with disabilities, with mental disabilities. Like, it's film. They're
Yeah.
always going to romanticize certain things. I think the show did a great job of showing as much of it as it could and having the characters acknowledge it in a way that didn't feel romanticized. It very much felt like a choice while not
Yes.
being a burden. And I think that's a great
Yes.
way to kind of end that season.
Yeah.
And it leads into season 3 because we've got Violet finally being like, you know what?
I am ready to start gardening.
I'm
Let
ready.
That was so funny.
So we're gonna move on to the final season out so far, Bridgerton season 3.
So Penelope was the character that I identified with because I am a yearner. I was like, this is my season. This is for the unseen people. This is for the people who don't always get the person that they want, especially not right away. And I was super excited. And I was let down originally. Like, they got together in the end. Rewatching it, I'm like, I'm not as disappointed because I know what to expect. And I'm not even like an introverted person. I think I'm romantically introverted. So it was very much like, oh yeah, she's finally going to be seen. We've been watching it. And that's, so I'm going to come back to the transfer from season 1 to season 2, where it's like we really had this underlying thing from season 1 with Anthony, where it's like, oh, I'm in love with this person, but I can't be with her. And it was very much his character. And then he switched and goes, okay, I can't have her. I'm not looking for love. I'm looking for Miss Bridgerton. I have to take on responsibility. And then you get to season 2 where that's exactly where he is. I feel like we had a rough transition to season 3 just because it was like we had them kind of just rehash the same thing for 3 seasons.
Yep.
Which was not even will they, won't they? It's I will, he won't, over and over and over again. And each season ended with this button. The first season was, she was like, I think I want to tell you. And he's like, I'm leaving the country. And she was like,
Bye.
crap. And then season 2 ended with, she was like, oh, I need to go talk to him. And he was like, Penelope, ugh, never. I wouldn't date her. And then, you know, you come into season 3 and you're like, will they finally? And they're like mad at each other. And I'm like, I wanted something to like slowly build. We had 2 seasons to build something and have it be right at that tipping point where it's like, oh, now we're in this moment where we can really like, we're going to be around each other. We're really going to start feeling it. He's going to turn, and then we're going to have our like kind of will they, won't they, steamy, like, oh man, love story. We're so close, yearning on both sides now. And then we hit Lady Whistledown, and that would be the conflict for the season. But now it happened.
I think it also falls victim to kind of what works in real life or what can kind of exist in real life might not be as narratively compelling unless you're willing to actually dissect that and put in a lot of extra work. Because in real life, you could yearn for someone for years and there's no reason to demonize the person unless you're like making crazy decisions that you shouldn't be making. It's just like time naturally passes. But if you're watching a character over 3 seasons yearn for someone, at a certain point, you're like, can you get over it? On the flip side, if you're watching a character ignore someone for 3 seasons, you're like, can you just fucking notice her?
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that I'm pretty sure that it was like new showrunners. So you're going from a lot of the threads that were set up at the end of season 2 into season 3, and you kind of are handed these things that on the surface look like, oh, that's easy. That's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It's actually really hard to transition from 2 characters who have kind of annoyingly just been circling
around each other. And it's
For
like,
2
oh
full
shit.
seasons.
Now, not only do we have to make that transition, and we weren't even the ones who set these seeds to begin with, we also have to do it while simultaneously making Penelope the main character.
Yeah.
And having her go through the whole Bridgerton reveal arc,
Yeah.
which is in itself could easily have just been its
Whistle
own
down
season.
reveal.
What did I say?
Bridgerton.
Whistle down.
We knew
Sorry.
what you meant. We knew what you meant.
Sorry, I'm getting real passionate. Words are getting scrambled up here. But yes, that whole whistle down reveal could have been its own season.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the season wanted to be.
Yeah. There were multiple times that I was like, this whole storyline could be a separate season. Like the downfall and also like the best part of Bridgerton is that these characters have so much depth.
Yes.
So when they explore these different plot lines, it came to a head at season 3 where I was like, that's what's happening. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a
Where
lot.
I'm like,
so many storylines.
Well, it was
Jesus.
also the first season where they had
Difficult.
multiple love things that I think what happened is you had showrunners who were treating it more like a TV show rather than the first 2 seasons, and Charlotte included, felt more like movies.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
prolonged movies, but still narratively, they functioned more like a film
Yeah.
where it's like you have a singular storyline, an A plot, and then you have a B plot, and it is, which TV has that too, but TV's A and B plot is a lot more like bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
And season 3 felt more like a really good season of like a Grey's Anatomy or like a 22 episode series where
Yeah.
you got a lot to cover in each episode. You're just trying to keep these actors hired. And that's a big thing too. It's like, unlike the books where you can ignore characters for like 3 books, you can focus on the book, on the character, and you can kind of fill in the gaps. But when you have these actors who are growing up, who are getting more famous, and they need a reason to stick around, you got to give them a reason to stick around. So season 3 felt like a TV show, which it was like, we're going to give everybody something to do. And it's going to be like, instead of this one solid arc that kind of like is eased into the way, God, season 2, just so well paced. Season 3, again, very well paced for a TV show.
that's a good way to put it.
I mean,
Yeah.
even if you think about it, even just the A plot, there really wasn't one because there was like 3 A plots. There was obviously Penelope and Colin. And then there was the sibling, Francesca's
Francesca.
whole love story. And then there was obviously the A
Anything
storyline of
Featheringtons.
Whistle Down.
Oh.
There's Whistle Down that has to come out. That's, I guess, technically a part of the first one, but it's like
Yeah.
It's kind of its own
Yeah.
thing.
It's still
own other
branches.
thing. Yeah. And then you have the Featheringtons going through yet another crisis. And then you have
Cressida.
Cressida.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Other
she was
part.
a whole thing.
Yeah, and then the friendship plot line between Eloise and Penelope, while
Yeah.
also dealing with Lady Bridgerton's garden being in bloom.
Oh my
Violet's
God.
garden
Oh my
being in bloom.
gosh.
And then
Yeah.
whatever we're doing with the Queen and Danbury. So
That's a lot.
It's like,
Yeah.
Danbury's brother being in town.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then Benedict.
Yeah.
And then Benedict with the threesome.
Yeah,
Like, come
like,
on, what are we
Benedict
doing?
turned gay.
Holy
Like,
shit.
Yeah.
Like so many plot lines.
And you're right. Like, if you were to say, ooh, what's the main plot of season 1? You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daphne and Simon. What's the main plot of season 2? You got it. Queen Charlotte, it's fucking Queen Charlotte.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
season 3, technically it's Penelope and
Yeah.
Colin, but
Yeah.
really is it?
It's like I think about Francesca more in that season.
Yeah.
With
You're right.
That,
Yeah.
that love was so developed compared, like personally, when I was watching that, I was like, oh right, Colin, Penelope.
yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
can we get back to Francesca? Like, I
Yeah.
want to see how
Oh,
that
yeah.
moves out.
I really liked the 2 of them. I am all for a gay storyline, but it's so sad that like that meet cute where they just like to sit and not do anything. I was like, oh, why is it that it was like they're like, oh, the love can look different, and they really like push that. And I was like, yeah, love can look different. I love that. And then like, just kidding, love has to look like you can't speak, you can't breathe. And I was like, what way to like come off your own point? Come on. But at least somebody's gay.
And also something that, as we talk through this now, and a realization that Benji and I came to when we rewatched everything is, again, these are complicated characters. They make shitty decisions. They have backstories that you might not agree with, but you understand. Colin is the first time where you see the limits of what a character can be if there's not depth to him and what you can get away with. Because at a certain point, he doesn't act any more or less selfish than the previous men before him, but you don't give a fuck about him. Whereas Simon should have been communicating with Daphne.
Yeah.
Simon withheld a lot of information for her. But also, that backstory with Simon's dad is enough for you to give him 8 episodes of like, okay, I essentially
Yeah.
I'm
understand.
annoyed, but like, I know. Give me
Anthony, again, we already talked about it, but his whole backstory with his dad and that trauma and every aspect aspect of the characters around him was a reflection of his own inner turmoil.
Yeah.
So not only are you understanding Anthony's point of view, but you're seeing him interact with other characters that are reflecting that back to him. Colin is just, meh, my wife has an article. Like, they try to build in a tension and drama for him to really be against Lady Whistledown, but it just rings extremely hollow because it's only within the first episode that they kind of have him throw it out there. It's not baked into his character.
Yeah, he's never really had an issue with Whistledown.
He's never noticed it. That's not something that any of the brothers or anyone has noticed or paid attention to. It's only been the women in society. So it isn't even necessarily natural for him to care about it because it's not something that affects him directly in any way, shape, or form.
And the only way it affects him is by calling out an aspect of his character that didn't even exist until that episode.
Yeah, because they were like, well, he was also like, oh, what they did to Marina, I'm so mad about. But I'm like, you weren't mad about it in the moment. You were actually relieved that you didn't have to go through with a wedding where you were being lied to, except you were going to go through with that wedding anyway. So it's kind of like, you don't really have a reason to hate Whistledown for that. I mean, like, you can always change your mind. But like, that seemed very like, oh, we need a reason for him to be mad. And then, like you said, him getting called out
the rake or whatever.
And it's just like, but that, you know, you did kind of go off and go, well, I'm gonna be a big boy now. I'm gonna be a slut. And I'm like, I'm gonna go out and sleep with people. It's just like, I mean, sure, like, yes, people can at any point change who they are and decide that they want to act differently. I think that they thought that with 2 seasons of buildup, they're like, that's enough, right? We don't have to give any flashbacks as to why these characters, because Penelope, we know why Penelope acts the way she does. She's been kind of in the forefront this whole time, but Colin's just kind of been in the background mulling around doing his own thing. So it's like, we needed to actually see, like, where's your motivation? What words hit you a certain way that made you run off and become a different person? Like, we just kind of, that was the thing where he's like, I just want to be a big boy now.
I can't even think of, like, I'm trying to think of him as a character. I don't know him.
Yeah, no,
I
exactly.
don't know him at all.
Just there.
It's just, which is weird because it's like he's been in the show, like, not as prominently as a lot of the main people we know, but it's like the stuff that we know about him is just kind of like, he's nice.
He travels.
He travels. And for you who like Colin, I'm sorry, I'm sure he does have a personality, but for somebody who's not focusing on him.
But do you like him in the books or in the show? Because I bet he's more interesting in the books. And I guess it's also, it might be a breath of fresh air. You like read all of these shitty dudes and then you get to his book and maybe it's nice to just watch a simple Simon character.
That's what I was excited to see, was like this sweet guy, because we've had 2 seasons of like guys who are basically assholes, 3 because we had the king too, and they all are like, they're just, I'm asshole because like my sensitive little soul got hurt. But it's like, it was cool. I was excited to see just, I want to see somebody sweet from the beginning to the end, and we didn't get that. And they also focused a lot more on the sex with other women. And I'm like, I want you focused on her.
But we got the breaking of the bed.
We did.
And I know
that
you
was
fucking
ridiculous. The fact that was like the main point of the promotion for me was what kind of was like a turn off, was like, what is the story going to be of season 3? And it was almost that like each season set up a different trope, had a very distinctive trope that they went after. Whereas this one, it's not like it's a bad trope to have the person who is yearning, wants you, or like whatever, and the other person just doesn't like even notice. It's not even like a bad way to go at it. It's really that there wasn't enough to call in, and Lady Whistledown almost should have been personified to be another character in this season, so that it was almost this juxtaposition between Penelope and this other side of herself that had so much to it that it made its own life, made a whole new character, even though it's still all within one person. And just Colin basically becomes this reflection for Penelope to handle that juxtaposition within herself. I think would have been easier, but just even just
you
the
hear
new
that? You
put
hear
me
that,
on
Netflix?
Put me on. But even just like the new showrunners getting in there and they're like, okay, this is what you guys have been setting up. Now we have the chance to set up our own stuff. So it was like they almost got like overexcited at the opportunity to be like, this is where we want to take it, what we want to do, that it got diluted where the other ones were so straightforward. But even just the setup of this one, where we were talking about how Anthony from season 1 to season 2, like it was right there. We jumped and we picked right up with it. So I'm hoping we get that in season 4, because again, this one wasn't focused on Colin. The story wasn't with Colin.
No.
It was with Penelope, who was set up strongly, and it just should have hinged off of her as a person rather than their relationship. And the relationship just reflected her journey.
Also, the Mondrix. That was another one. We forgot that.
Right. Oh my God. Not to jump ahead now, but how do we function in a Bridgerton show without Lady Whistledown being there. Like Julie Andrews.
I think she'll still be there. Maybe she won't be Julie Andrews.
Don't reveal anything. We haven't watched the new trailer, but
I'll keep my mouth shut.
I don't even know if it's just going to be Penelope talking or if Julie Andrews returns.
But I think Lady Whistledown will be
better.
there, but she'll more be like,
look at them.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Okay. I think it'll more just be like she'll be reporting, but respectfully. So Lady Whistledown will still be in there, but I think it'll be different. I don't think it's going to be gone. But then again, like you said when we were watching Queen Charlotte, I think you were like, I mean, at this point, we kind of don't even need her.
Yeah, I think all in all, to wrap it up, season 3 wasn't as bad on the rewatch as it was on the first time.
Yeah.
And even the first time, I wouldn't call it bad. It's just, it didn't compare to the other
No,
ones necessarily.
it's good TV. It's not good Bridgerton.
They took 2 years, so I'm hoping that they took 2 years to really go back to the drawing board and like kind of plan everything.
Think about what you've done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Think about what you've done.
Think about
and
it.
I think like I hope they listened. And also, okay, because last year they split it into 2 different releases, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that time in between was also really crucial to the fandom and how they reacted.
Yeah, true.
It's for better or worse. If it's a
Yeah.
good show, you want more and you're
Yes.
excited. If it's bad, then you have like a month in between to go, what the fuck are we watching?
I really think
Yeah.
that that's true because by the time part 2 started, everybody had already fully dissected the first 4 episodes.
I don't personally love Netflix dropping the 4 and 4 in the blocks like that.
I know.
I think it's a lot to digest. As somebody who grew up enjoying binging stuff and then now as somebody who creates content, I've used to enjoy waiting till the whole thing dropped and binging it all at once.
Yeah.
But now I really like the weekly drops.
I do too.
And the whole 4, and then you wait this really long period of
Yeah.
time. I swear in the back of my head, it's like that time period gives them just enough time to get our reaction, gauge it, make tweaks to the second half
Oh,
based on our
shit.
reaction. And I feel like that's why they do that.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
No.
Make it, be done with it, stamp your
stand
name
by
on
it.
it.
Stand on it, yeah.
And then let it go, stand by it. I think that at this point in media, and this just sends me into a whole other tangent, but
go.
like at this point in media, the cancel culture, we're too afraid to take chances.
Yeah.
We're going way too easy on our storylines. And just, I mean, as somebody who makes content and is constantly reviewing media, I'm contributing to this, and especially with my commenters contributing to this. But now it's so easy for people to like tag the fuck out of this person or hound them down or send them mail or get in their heads, find them in real life, like make sure their opinions are known to the point where audiences are bullying productions into doing these things, and it's making these productions terrified to take risks, terrified to do this stuff.
Yep.
And we saw this and I was recently doing this research on like the history of cinema, and it was really strong during like World War II, but then after that in the Cold War there was a ton of safe choices because people were so terrified to do something that was out there. I forgot what it was called. It was like it's like the number 10 or something like that. But basically they made this group of like, if you are a secret communist, we're gonna sort you out and we will blacklist the fuck out of you and you will never see the light of day again. So everybody was so terrified to make a misstep and be misconstrued or seen the wrong way. And I feel like that's where we are again now is you're so terrified to be misconstrued and seen the wrong way. You're not going to take that artistic risk and be like, let's make a reflection on how society is handling homophobia, even though gay marriage has been legal for all these years and like all these things. Like, let's take a look at that. Let's handle these things. And we're just putting these important things about society as like itsy bitsy plots and stuff here and there, but it's never enough that people actually pick up on it anymore.
And also, to your point, we're fighting these battles, but they're so small and innocuous. Like, we're not fighting over like actual cancel culture things where it's like, you shouldn't be saying that word. You shouldn't be degrading that person. You should have an open mind. It's like small things of like, that character just didn't do what I liked.
Yes.
And then that colors everything. And yet simultaneously, then the shows will be populated with people who have real world actual issues and shitty perspectives. That's fine. That's okay for some reason. That said, still excited for season 4.
I'm so excited.
It has so
excited.
much potential.
I agree with you. I wish we could just watch it either week to week basis or all at once.
Yeah, I agree with you. All at once is great because you binge it, like you said, and it's like, boom, it all hits you. And you're like, that was so good before you can really dissect it. And then I like with the weekly, like you said, where it's like the weekly, I feel like is so good for like community and for TikTok because it's like, I love catching up, being on an episode, and then you hop onto TikTok and your algorithm is all that show and everybody's talking about it. And you're like, yeah, that's what I thought too.
Nobody has an attention span nowadays.
Exactly.
So that is what breeds a fandom, breeds a community, is that waiting period
Let it
each
breathe.
week.
Yeah.
But when it's so far away for that second
Yeah.
drop, it's kind of just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to forget about it.
And there's so much
I'm going to
media
do
now.
something
You
else with
will-
my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that comes in between.
So yeah, hey Netflix, maybe eventually learn to either all at once or one at a time, you know?
Weekly or all at once, one or the other.
This was so much
I had
fucking
a
fun.
great time.
Great.
Thank
Good.
you guys.
I didn't realize we
Yeah.
had so much to say about Bridgerton.
Yeah. We can yap.
I hope to see some more gay stuff with Benedict. Fingers crossed. It's going to be very interesting because he's met and connected very well with a lot of people already. So I'll be interested to see, like, why now? Why this
now?
sperm?
Why?
Why this sperm?
We could talk about this forever, but we're going to end it here. Again, if you want to support us or rewatch us rewatching Bridgerton, all 30 episodes should be out now on our Patreon. Ladies, where can we find y'all?
I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all platforms, Scorpio Mars with 3 S's at the end.
TikTok, Instagram, Supreme Malia.
Supreme Malia.
Nice. And you know, you heard their takes. They obviously deep dissectors, so that's some good content over there. I love that we have 2 Scorpio
I know.
Italians here. 2 Italian Scorpios.
All right, until next time, I'm Rizzo.
I'm Benji.
I'm Carrington.
I'm Malia.
Sweet dreams, pop stars.
Keep watching.
Love you. Bye. Mwah.
We're getting ready to have fun. And that's horrible. I hated that. No,
That was perfect. I really liked
it. Well, okay. We're getting prepared for the newest, exciting season of Bridgerton Season 4 by talking about all of the other seasons leading up to it. Are you ready? Or are you steady?